Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about my Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, Matt Forbeck, campaign Iron Snow, The Tales of Green Goblin. All right. So me and the gold player are starting our third campaign. This is a freestanding campaign. The first campaign we played was a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Second campaign we played was a Star Trek Adventures campaign. And now we are running a Marvel Multiverse role-playing game campaign using the 2023 Marvel Multiverse role-playing game rule set put out by Disney, literally and officially published by Marvel. What's interesting is this is at least the sixth iteration. I believe this is the sixth iteration of the Marvel tabletop role-playing game, which is pretty astonishing that there have been six of these. This time, the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game is really quite unique because it is created by Marvel itself. So it's created by Marvel and distributed by Marvel, just like their comic books. The only thing that's different is it is in the traditional D&D hardback format, exactly the same size as the Dungeon Master Guide, because Dungeons and Dragons really has 100% locked a strong tradition of a very strong tradition of the size that is expected for a tabletop role-playing game. Very few companies stray from the format of the D&D canon hardback. And the reason why is I think, I can take this book, and I literally have, and place it right next to all of my Dungeons and Dragons books. There's a very strong tradition there, which I think is really quite interesting. So basically, I wanted to talk about how we decided to run the Marvel Iron Snow campaign. So this is an online campaign. It is one Dungeon Master, one Dragon Master, right? So just one player, and we're just jumping right in. Matt Forbeck has done a phenomenal job of building this Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. There's two major source books out right now. There's the X-Men expansion, and there is the Cataclysm of Kang, right? There's some minor works that are out there as well, which is really interesting. And it does use the D616 system. Really, really fantastic. Just really excited about it. So how do we decide to play Marvel? Well, what was really fascinating was I presented the gold player with no less than a dozen different options. We could run Star Wars. We could run Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These are all options for a campaign. We could run Dungeons and Dragons, original story Dungeons and Dragons, existing canon hardback like Waterdeep Dragon Ice, for instance. And then also Ghostbusters was in the mix, and a campaign called The Thin Blue Line, which is basically it's like the ultimate campaign that I really want to run, which is a completely non-genre, not fantasy or sci-fi, literally just a beat cop or a detective, right? And I really wanted to run this, and so that was on the list, right? And so we started to discuss, and I couldn't believe the rigor that the gold player used to decide. He said, okay, so we just ran Star Trek Adventures, and during that I was Starfleet Security Lieutenant Archibald. So if we run Thin Blue Line, I'm running essentially another, law enforcement type, right? So that, it'd be nice to have something different. And then he was like, I'd really love to play Star Wars, but again, we just came off of Star Trek, so that's not really going to feel that fresh, right? And so then I also put on the list Pirate Borg. And I have that book. It's Mark but Pirates. It's fantastic. I actually bought it from the creator at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. I was really excited about it. And what was really interesting, the Gold player was like, I got no interest in a pirate game. So, and he was like, it's the only game that I'd just like to take off the list, right? And I was like, and I like that. I it's just really fascinating just seeing, like, something that excites you, but like there's so many, and I think when you come to a new campaign, there's just so many directions you can go. It's really, really fascinating to see all the things that can be done. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so, but then he said, what I'd like to do is let's do Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, because it's not going to match anything that we did in our last campaign. It's not sci-fi. I'm not going to be running a law enforcement officer. So he did that. And then he said, okay, so what can I run? Right. And I said, so first of all, Marvel Multiverse role-playing game has, published books, and they all have lists. And in those lists are villains and heroes. And I used to ask players to only run heroes, right? But I've learned this lesson. Man, oh man, does every player in the world just want to run Marvel villains. It's fascinating, right? And I said, so the reality is, if there's a sheet for it published in any Marvel Multiverse existing book, and that's the core book, that's Cataclysm of Kang, that is X-Men expansion, any of them, you could run that character, right? Just and we don't make it, you just choose it, and we're ready to run, right? And it doesn't matter what it is. You could do any rank, you could do any hero, you could do any villain. I'm hoping you run the villain as a hero, but I don't want to limit your creativity, and I want you to have what you're most excited about in the Marvel universe. And so it was wild. And actually, I only got to know what he was playing literally day of, right? And so I had already made my plans, regardless of his character, for what the campaign would be, right? And or how to start the campaign off, because I don't write 3 months worth of content. I write enough to get us through 3 sessions, right? And then and there are multiple directions we can go and all of that, right? So he arrived and he said, I'm going to present this for your I'm going to request if I can run this. I would like to run Green Goblin, but I also want, and so essentially he wants to be a hero, but he is struggling with some of the aspects but he's struggling with the essentially with the dark problems that Green Goblin traditionally struggles with, which I was like, whoa, yeah, okay, we're in, let's go, right? And so basically I asked him, okay, so how, where do you see this beginning? So one, Green Goblin was transformed. So this is what we've set so far. Green Goblin has transformed into Norman Osborn was transformed into Green Goblin when there was a chemical accident at Oscorp. Okay, so and Norman Osborn is currently the CEO of Osborn. Now, he has the rich tag. And this is a big deal because pretty much anything that Batman can do, he can do, right? He can create vehicles, he can create armor, he can create weapons. It's a big deal. Like, and that's one of the things I really love about Matt Forbeck's Marvel Multiverse role-playing game is tags have meanings. Like, rich means you're rich. Like, you could say, I'm going to take a Learjet to this place, right? Like, which is really cool. So basically we were 3 months out from his accident. At this point, he's built his gliders, he's built his pumpkin bombs, he has his satchel, and he has his armored suit, right? So he's ready to go. And we literally started our first campaign with him flying out of a truck bay at Oscorp, into New York City to take one of his first patrols to guard the city, exactly the way Batman guards Gotham. So that's where we're going to leave it off. I'm very excited about this Marvel Iron Snow campaign, and I'm very excited to share it with you. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion about Marvel Multiverse Iron Snow campaign. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.